Hey, how's it going? It's Jason. Um, preface. There's gonna be some construction in the background. Try to ignore that. And my shaky cam is because I am doing this from my camera phone. So bear with me. Bear with me. It's gonna be real annoying. But first off, to start out the deck profile, we got the tokens. Now, you can't really use the tokens because none of these cards make tokens, but there's some exclusive tokens for it. In case you've ever wanted exclusive tokens. This ones are really nice and shiny and really beautiful artwork. Really love those tokens. Feel bad for people who had to design them for a deck that doesn't run them. Alright, but let's continue. Alright, so first off, we got three Aria water. Very ultra rare. Those are the only ultra rares I got, sadly, but hey, I'll take uh, three of one type is better than one of three different types, and then I'm missing one. So there's three Aria, and then three Wind, three Asa, and three Hita. Now, to for if you don't know, these are water, wind, earth, fire. And that's gonna be important later that they're all different elements. Very cool, very cool. But yes, these are the monsters. They're all 1850 spellcaster type, 1500 defense. Just will come in handy later with some of these other card effects. So the first three non-familiar possessed monsters I run are Luna, three Luna, mainly because Luna will help you search another familiar possessed, which is very good in this deck. Having a familiar possessed, you definitely want one. You want to be summoning one once a turn. So if you don't have one on the off turn, you can summon Luna because she has 1850 attack, which is good for another card later on. I'll talk about. Very good. She has not only the search when she's normal summoned, but pop effect where she can either pop a card, one subcard your opponent controls, your opponent send one card with the monster's name from their deck to extra deck to the graveyard and negate this effect. Otherwise, turn both this card and the monster to the hand. So that's a neat little pop effect too. Can mess around with as well. So she's good enough to just run three. The only pendulum monster we have, Dark Doradio. Now, Dark Doradio, you don't really even want a pendulum summon with her because, I mean, could easily get magical adjudicator, but they didn't add her in this structure deck, so I'm gonna only stick with structure deck cards. And so, because of that, you just want to get her in one of the pendulum zones because she buffs everything, and that's a main um kind of theme to this deck. Buff all of your familiar possessed monsters to be ridiculous attack, and this helps you get there. You need to have this activated to get there, and by god, if it's destroyed, it goes to the top of the extra deck, which face up extra deck, which is kind of useless. You kind of don't want it destroyed. Kind of bad if it is destroyed, but again, you run three of her, and not totally the end of the world if she is destroyed. They still can have some higher attack here, as I can will show you with some the other cards. But first, we have Witchcrafter going Aruru. We have three of her. She's a very good card because of the synergy with the spellcasters. When your opponent activates a card that targets a spellcaster monster you control or targets it for an attack, you can target one card your opponent controls or Witchcrafter spell. Basically, one card your opponent controls. Special summon this card from your hand if you do return that target to the hand. So again, pop effect as well as Luna. Very good if your monster gets targeted and banished because you don't want your familiar possessed banished. That's pretty much the only thing you don't want. So it'll be like, oh, here's a strong 2800 attack monster, and your monster goes back to your hand. That just banished mine. So very good counterplay. Very good. Of course, two effect Veiler. This ends up the monster line. That kind of just speaks for itself. If you don't know what effect Veiler does, it negates a monster's effect when activated on your opponent's side of the field. So when they normal summon something with a bonus effect, you could just negate it. Very good, very very good. I mean, I don't see any deck not running those. Surprising, I don't run at 3, but 2 is fine actually. You just want a light spellcaster in your grave. I think for reasons I don't really know, not any specific reason like card or anything, but if you do want light monsters, I guess. I don't know if Dark Doradio says light either. It's a good question. Can you check real quick? Can I? No, no. Yeah, I mean, other than Effect Veiler being a light spellcaster in your grave, which you don't really need. That's all it is, pretty much just to negate opponent's effect. And this also will slow down your opponent. This field spell, half of it is useless, but the other half is once per turn when your opponent wouldn't activate a monster effect, negate it. So basically an extra effect veiler for just basically OTK decks that are like special summon, special summon, special summon. You can just be like negate, negate, and usually they shut down after 2 negations. So there's that. Very good. This next card is probably the most broken search card I've ever seen, and I'm just flabbergasted like how good of a search card it is for a Spirit Charmer, because discard a card. All right, you get to special summon. No, you discard a card. You get to add a familiar possessed to your hand, which is really good right there. That adds a familiar possessed monster to your hand. But not only that, you get to either activate or yeah, you get to activate a possessed trap card, spell or trap card, and you got awakening the possessed and unpossessed. So basically, all right, before I totally explain why that's good that you can activate possessed or awakening the possessed, let's go into what these are. Okay. Pull these out. Now, okay, so basically you can either activate this or this. No, you set this or this. Where this you could just turn around and activate it. This you'd have to wait till your opponent's turn to activate it because it's a trap card. What this does is it buffs all of your monsters again attack wise. You won't if you get you want as many of these on your field, even though they only can activate once per turn. One of them per turn. You want as many as possible on the field because they just buff for each different attribute you control. That controls light. So again, that's kind of why. I mean, effect veiler if on the field isn't terrible because this will buff it as well as everything else. But as well as buffing, this will let you draw every time you summon an 1850 attack monster. That's why Luna is good enough for 3, because you can just summon Luna, go in a familiar possess with this if it's activated on your side of the field, add it to your hand, and then you get to draw another card off this because you summon Luna. So this is a very good card to have activated pretty much at all times. If you don't draw this, you can go into this off of the bat. But I would strongly consider unpossessed first if you don't have it. More than likely you're gonna season 3 of both of these. You're gonna have one of these turn 1. Alright, so you can see where this is going. Discard a card for Spirit Charmers and either activate this, or just activate turn 1 this. And what this does is it buffs everything, but not only buffs everything, but by 800 when they attack, if a monster you control is destroyed by card, battle, or card effect, if while this card is face up in your spell or trap card, you can special summon one monster with 1500 defense from your deck whose attribute from that is one different. So basically, you summon another one of a different attribute, special summon from the deck when it's destroyed by card effect or battle. So this helps you have these two on the field all the time because you run 3 of them. and a familiar possessed in your hand. So the engine is very quick now and very consistent with these 9 cards. Like, it's almost like, thank God for this. Why isn't this in the game? It pisses me off, but this is a very good quick play spell card. So you could even shenanigans set this. I don't know why you would. You want to be activating this during your turn for sure. So there's little reason why you would activate this. It's an ultra rare too. It's a very good and broken card, but not even the end of the support to this deck, as we will see. All right, back to the spells. Um, we're running Rageki terraforming. Really, these are interchangeable because you don't really need terraforming. You don't really need to go over the field spell. The field spell isn't that important. You're not using half of it, and the one half you're using is just negating a monster effect each turn. So again, that's only good in like the early game. So basically, Spirit Charmer fodder. Same thing with this. More than likely, you're not even gonna want a Regeki, which is destroy all your opponent's monsters for free. You know what I mean? Like, activate this, destroy all their monsters. And while it's a rare and a very good card, and it comes in the structure deck, it's almost like you'd rather discard this for Spirit Charmers, which is hilarious and totally the better play. So, yeah. All right. So, the last card in this deck, the last trap, you don't want to run much traps in this deck because you want all this face up spell cards and the one unpossessed activated. But this is probably the only thing you know. This could be spirit fodder for spirit charmers too, but this is probably the only thing you're gonna want to face down because this is an amazing support card. It's also rare and very very broken. Now, not only do you want to have this in your graveyard because I'll get to that in a minute, but special summon one spellcaster monster. This is what it does normally with 15 under defense from your hand or graveyard. So right there, it's recycle too, which is amazing. Or you're gonna have a familiar possessed in your hand, as you'll see with a lot of those spell cards. You're gonna have familiar possessed in your hand. They're gonna be stuck, and this can get them out of your hand too. So amazing trap card, and you could set this with Spirit Charmer. So let's say you have familiar possessed and unpossessed, you can go for this as like a bonus because you not only does it let you special summon like recycle for, or get your monsters unstuck out of your hand, but if you control monsters with two or more different attributes, so you just two or more of them basically, you could destroy one face up card on the field. So it's a free pop, and off of both of those effects, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Target one possessed continuous spell trap in your graveyard. Place it face up on your field. You can only use this effect once per turn. It doesn't even say activate, so you can't negate this in the graveyard's effect because it's not activating it in the graveyard. It's setting it on the field active, which is freaking broken. But not only that, but in your graveyard, banishing these, like I said, Spirit Charmer, you could just send this to Spirit Charmer, right? And then when they destroy either from Awakening the Possessed or Unpossessed, you could just banish this and activate it again. So it's also, not only is it getting your hand unstuck, but it's also uh getting your possessed back, unpossessed back, recyclability, and that is amazing. And that is the deck, all 40 cards. Now on to the extra deck here. Now, because you only really have like one trap card set the whole game, the first monster I decided in was Danko Seka. 3 of these. If you're running some kind of spell or trap heavy deck, you're definitely going to want to side these in instead of the monster effect removal. And the same goes for basically these two. You just side these, take out all the monster, like the field spells and the field spell shenanigans and the field spell search and even Regeki. Just take all that out and go with these six of both. Bam, those are in your side deck. That's amazing. That's an amazing six cards to just bam have in your side deck. Now again, if monster effects are your problem, we have three of these, which also come in the structure deck and is also a very broken card and arguably better than the field spell. Negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent controls until the end phase of this turn. Also, for the rest of this turn, your opponent takes no damage. Neither player. Basically, your opponent sets up an unbeatable board, and your thing makes no difference. You can side in these and just negate their unbreakable monster effects that make it so you can't play, and then Raigeki or Twin Twisters. And that is a very, very broken card to just throw into throw into a structure deck. So thank you, Konami. I will definitely be running three of those in the side deck because it's a very niche card. Like your opponent might not be running monster heavy effects. And then again, this is arguably better than the field spell. Again, the secret village of the spellcasters, but again, that's only if your opponent is running a spell eccentric deck. Like he's running something that's throwing spells out like crazy, and then I would suggest maybe even three of these in this. I'm contemplating putting another two of these in instead of a dimensional barrier, but right now I feel like dimensional barrier plus this is good because you can search this with terraforming and I feel like a better play would be dimensional barrier personally. I feel like again monster effects are more you don't really care about spells and negating spells because there's so many in this game. Like good luck trying to stop your opponent from playing spells. Um I almost feel like you sometimes you don't even want to stop them. Like, go ahead and activate that. Those aren't the problem cards. The problem cards usually come off after the spell or during the spell's effects. So again, monster effects again are more kind of important. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I should be running just three Twin Twisters, Danko Sec. You know what I mean? In one of these, but or even two of these. But honestly, it depends on the deck you're running. And so I put it in the side deck. As just a maybe. Maybe. Another three cards in the side deck. Solemn Warning. If you're running effect again, effect monsters are you're worried about. You know what I mean? Then this is better than the field spell for sure, and anything really because it stops spells or traps, and when a monster would be summoned. So this might even arguably be better than the field spell. Again, you don't want to run too many things that are set though, and this is doing 6,000 damage to you. You don't really want to run too much set stuff. That's why Danko Seka is almost better in that sense. It's hard to say. Would you rather protect your spells and traps or just go face? You know what I mean? Go face. It's hard to say. That's why I didn't really run either of those in the main deck. Those are side deck things in case you need them. And again, the last two in the side deck, Dimensional Barrier, like I said, declare one monster type, Ritual Fusion, Synchro, XYZ, or Pendulum for the rest of the turn. Either player could special summon. This is almost integral against like Synchro spam decks or any kind of spam deck. Link anything. Can just be like, no, no more of these. And they're usually screwed. So, again, almost really too good to be running in the side deck. But again, it's only for people running heavy monster effects, heavy special summon stuff, and you just can't stop it. And yeah, that's the deck. The beautiful, familiar, possessed deck. Thank you guys for watching. I'm out.